Living in Springfield, Missouri, as a female minority, there are certain obstacles you have to face. And one of these obstacles I often experience in Springfield is a preset prejudice. Certain folks in Springfield regularly ask me, "Can you speak English?" And I often responded, "I believe so," and give them a little smile. But this notion that instilled in their minds that foreigners are incapable of communicating simple or basic English is ridiculous. One's physical characteristics different to yours is not a reason to ignore the fact that people around you have dignity to uphold. Preset prejudices have impact on people who are experiencing it. We don't know every individual well, and we sometimes consciously or unconsciously start to characterize them based on what we see. We form an opinion based on stereotypes such as that certain races are loud, they are dishonest, smelly, and oh, the best one, if they move to your subdivision, our house will go down in value. These ideas have been in our society, media, and upbringing, so what are we going to do? Little understanding, tolerance, and awareness comes a long way, but it's not far in the horizon that we cannot reach it and start learning from our mistakes and giving us a chance to learn about you and learn about our race. So next time when you see a foreigner, do not assume anything and don't ignore them. Just because we are different, just say hi, initiate a conversation, and who knows, you might enjoy the conversation.
Phoebe, that was really interesting. What would you say then is your worst experience so far in this area?
The area actually just happened to me a month ago when some bunch of kids, I believe they're high school, they said to go back to my country.
Really?
In the 21st century, and I just kind of like blown away because like, wow, it still happens. I know it's a small city, but still, it's not an excuse, to have that kind of upbringing and to hear that, it's just devastating me, really.
You talk about learning to speak English properly. What sorts of difficulty did you encounter in learning our language? And, should that be appreciated by people who are possibly judging you?
Yeah, because for example, when I take tests, when I read questions, I have to read it and then translate it in my language, in Filipino, for me to understand it. And also, when we were learning English back in the Philippines, it's funny because you have rules and then you have to violate your rules. So you don't have like specific rules, and it's sometimes hard for us to follow. We do not have a he or she. So sometimes when you talk to me, I will end up saying he, but I'm talking about she because we don't have like really gender specific, unless you have to specific say the name or particular particular gender, but we don't have that he or she. So it's hard to learn different language and come here.
Do you think that you had a hard time, like maybe that you had some prejudice about the United States and what it would be like when you moved here, and those were altered when you came here?
It's actually a good one. We did when we were learning about the culture in America and about America. We were always instilled in our mind that Americans are only they just think about sex, drugs, and fun, because that's what we see in TV. That's what we see. And so when I came here in America and I met this good family, and I was amazed that they're family oriented, because we thought that you guys are not, family oriented, and it changed. So I guess you're right. Sometimes we do have some preset notion that the Americans are going to be like this, but when you came in and you learned them, that's when you change your mind, So.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes,
Phoebe.
thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you, CB. Your voice has been heard. Coming up on Ozarks News Journal, Philip is somewhere in the Ozarks with a unique and frightening local business.
And one city's unusual idea for saving space that could make for some strange bedfellows. We'll be right back.
For the second year in a row, Missouri State's Folklore Club gave students a ghostly glimpse into the university's past with its haunted tour of campus. The stories featured highlight hauntings in several buildings on campus, including Wells House, Hill Hall, Craig Hall, Meyer Library, and Fredenberger House, often called Freddy by students.
My focus is to try to be and that's the focus of everybody, is to try to be as true to the stories as possible, because they're student-based and those are where we get them.
Because the tales told on the tour are taken from students, the majority of the stories entail eerie encounters in the dorms. Based solely on the number of student accounts, Freddie appears to be the most haunted residence by far. One of Valentine's most chilling tales about the dorm involves 2 female students and a board game.
They were playing with the Ouija board one night and they didn't think much of it. They ended up getting 2 numbers, and those numbers actually ended up being 2 football players who died in a freak car accident that night.
Although there is no story too scary for the tour guides to tell, they do stray away from those that are recent, since there are still students on campus who knew the people involved. For those who are upset that they missed the chance to hear an hour's worth of Missouri State legends, fear not. Planning for a 3rd annual haunted tour of campus next October has already begun. In Springfield, Amanda Hoff, Ozarks News Journal.
For more than 30 years, one staple of downtown Springfield has been scaring up big business. Now, in the face of a weak economy and rapidly changing weather conditions, the spooks and ghouls at the Hotel of Terror were working overtime this year to make sure they weren't forced to face a more frightening reality of a weak bottom line. In this segment of Somewhere in the Ozarks, I take you behind the scenes of the Ozarks' oldest haunt to prove once and for all, things that go bump in the night may not always be what they seem.
Welcome to the Hotel of Terror, home of fun, mischief, mayhem, and third-degree burns. Good luck finding a way out, because there isn't one. Don't
If you're in this job for the money, you're here for the wrong reason, but if you love the screams, you're a lifer. It gets under your skin, and I can't imagine a world without the Hotel of Terror.
Scared the crud out of me. It was nothing like what I expected. It was a lot of fun.
It's been a little bit down this year. I know it's kind of odd to say that the economy could hit a spook house, but I guess you really see kind of how far everything has gone. It's starting to pick up when we get a little closer to Halloween, but it's been we're hanging in there.
Somebody had to go?
My right leg is still shaking. So, yeah, I'm a little bit scared.
It's just something completely different, you know? You don't go out and get scared every night walking through some random hotel on it or whatever.
We actually had on our agenda tonight to go to a scary movie, but you can do that anytime, and we just thought going to a haunted house. At first we thought it was a little pricey, but actually you get your money's worth in there.
You definitely do.
I know we've got a little bit of competition out there, and best of luck to them, but we're the oldest and scariest for a reason.
If you think there's something especially interesting about your town, neighborhood, or business and would like to be featured on Somewhere in the Ozarks, contact me at ozarksnewsjournal@missouristate.edu. We hope to hear from you soon.
And finally today, are things a little crowded at home, getting on each other's nerves? Maybe you'd like more space. Well, maybe things aren't so bad after all. London, England, with its population of over 8 million people, is now asking its residents to share, get this, grave sites. Turns out the city's largest cemetery is running out of room. They're asking Londoners to chip in by agreeing to share a gravesite with a fellow Londoner upon their departure from the living. Other parts of Europe have had the same problem. No need to worry about that happening here in the States. Americans have much more space than Europeans. And those in the funeral business say the idea would be buried in a hurry by Americans. Wow.
That's one odd story. I have a hard time sharing a lot of anything with people, let alone my final resting place.
Oh yeah, I can barely share this anchor decks with you.
I know, right? It's getting pretty competitive in here, right? Well, that's all for this edition of Ozarks News Journal.